Welcome to our Xavierites, our monthly video series highlighting DMV area alumni of Xavier University of Louisiana and our March 2020 alum, Gregory Lee Jr. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel so that you'll be aware of all of the DMV Alumni Chapter's newest uploads.
So first, I'm going to ask you to please tell us your name, your year of graduation, and what your major was at Xavier.
I'm Gregory Lee Jr., class of 1996. I was a mass communications major.
Okay, and where are you from?
I'm originally from New Orleans East. Went to Sarah T. Reed High School and decided to, the last minute, to go to Xavier because I was thinking about going to LSU, but my neighbor down the street was actually the admissions dean, and he convinced me to go to Xavier.
Okay, so your neighbor who lived down the street was the admissions dean at Xavier?
Yes, Winston Brown.
Oh, okay. I remember. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so was it when you got to campus? Did you feel comfortable there? Was it easy to find your way and like your people, your tribe?
Well, if you're from the city, you like there's a city side and there's a dorm side. So I didn't live in a dorm, so I was always hanging out with the people who were the commuters.
The commuters.
The commuters. So we were sitting in a little corner, and our freshman year, I figured we were sitting in the old cafeteria on the city side, and we'll get our chicken and stuff of that sort and be good to go. And we just hung out. All the New Orleans folk would just hang out because we all went to the same high schools. We all went to, there were the Brother Martin people, and there's the St. Aul people, and there's the Cabrini people, and there's the Xavier Prep people. So that was cool. And then also, sometimes we get out of the cafeteria and go to Snappies and get my Snappies po' boy. My hot sauce po' boy dressed with cheese with my little soda and my chips, all for a nice price.
Do you remember how much the
like $5, like $4.25, I think, like that for a sandwich and a soda and chips. I think like $4.25, $5, no more than $5. That was great. Oh, man.
It was.
And I used to take the food and sneak in the old library. Like there was these steps and it was like these little iron areas. I'm in the corner, like somewhere in a little curvature in the old library. Now it's the music department, I guess, or whatever. But I used to sneak and eat in there to eat inside.
I do miss Snappies. Snappy Happy Meals.
That was Xavier North because I lived in Xavier South. So when I came to the main part of campus, I just called y'all Xavier North because y'all messed with us. We was in Xavier South.
That's right. The mass communication was in Xavier South. Yeah. And nothing was down there.
No, nothing down there with us. When they opened up a Burger King, y'all started coming down there.
Well, it's impressive now.
Yeah, see.
What type of extracurricular activities did you do? I know you said you were a commuter.
Yeah, so. Well, let's see. When I first got there, I started doing like TV shows. We had a TV studio. I mean, the funny thing about Xavier was that it may have been a science school and all that stuff, but actually we had a great studio, great television studio. We did news shows. I did an entertainment show, and then later on, I decided to move over from TV and then work for the school paper. I was a student, a sports editor of the Herald. Also during Xavier basketball games, me and John Stewart would go to the barn and we'll call the game. We'll announce the team and all that stuff and call the fouls and all that stuff in the microphone. So we used to be up top. So John and I used to rotate doing that. And then during my last year, I was the editor of the Herald. So my time was spent writing and editing stories and getting on my team to write about what's going on campus. I used to get in trouble a lot. I used to be called to Dr. Francis's office because we would write controversial stories. I think what department is that? Not the religion department, but it's the spiritual services group. Got mad at me because I did a story that
campus ministry.
Campus ministry got mad at me because I wrote a story about how there should have been more different types of prayer services because actually the campus was only 33% Catholic. Then it was like 33% Catholic. Then percentages. It was more. This was more non-Catholics on campus than Catholics. So I got campus ministry mad at me. I'm like, I'm just doing my stories. I used to talk. I never forget. There was a court case involving university against one of the teachers who was trying to get tenure, and the university thought that he didn't perform scholarly work. And then when I walked in there along with my co-editor Mary Webb walked in, Dr. Francis looked back and turned around like he saw a ghost. He thought he saw a ghost because like what are you doing here? And I said, well, I heard about this. We heard about this case, and we were very interested in it. And then he said, well, this is going to be a long trial. Don't you have classes to go to? You want to miss your cut days? I said, between the 12 of us, I think 12 days of cut days we have will be okay. between me and Mary. I think and then we couldn't write the story. They settled, but we couldn't write the story because Dr. Francis is the only time he centered the story in, I think, his history. I think I'm responsible for the only centered story in Xavier Herald's history.
Congratulations.
But I told Dr. Francis one day, like, we're mass communications majors. We are here to write stories. We are to try to become professional journalists. You would never tell a pharmacy student they can't perform these experiments and try to be a pharmacist, right? You have the science department. You have all these students doing these experiments in their classroom. You're not telling them not to do the experiments. So either you get rid of the mass communications department, stop taking our money, or let us do our thing. It's as simple as that.
Did he go along with it?
It was okay. Like he says, well, he used to tell me, well, my trade I used to be an attorney and blah, blah, blah. He would just talk to me. And I'm like, yeah, Dr. Francis, but at the end of the day, you offer this major at this university, and actually the Xavier Herald won a lot of national awards. So we're just continuing the tradition of doing good work. So Dr. Francis and I, we had our battles, but at the end of the day, he was always proud of my work and representing Xavier well and stuff. Every time I saw him around the way when I came back to campus, or when I took the National Association of Black Journalists convention to New Orleans, and I was president at the time, and he hosted a reception for me, and he gave me this sweatshirt. So,
oh, nice.
So,
it's in really good shape.
Yeah,
my Xavier sweatshirts from, mine's
this was like
probably
7 years old. Right?
Mine is probably
I did this in
older than yours.
2012, or like that. 2012. It's 8 years old. So,
Yeah, because you were president 2011
to 13. Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah, you guys did your research. See
I
that?
did my research.
That's right. So yeah, on campus, I was just doing.
Do you feel like, because you were saying that Dr. Francis was not supposed to censor you, do you feel like at Xavier you got the foundation for what you do today? Like it was a great foundation?
It was a great experience for me because actually having that type of experience in terms of going to courtroom, covering a court case, dealing with it, my administrations, like if I was covering City Hall, I have to deal with the same stuff. They couldn't censor me in City Hall, but at the same time, you still have to deal with the politics of wherever you are. So it was a good training ground for me and my staff going through that, and covering the campus and keeping, it was just, keeping a close eye on what's going on and letting the student body know what's happening. And I think it provided a good foundation for myself. We had a great advisor in Dr. Campbell, who trained us well and looked out for us for internships and made sure that we had the same opportunities as the bigger journalism schools.
Was it important for you to go to an HBCU?
I didn't, like that time, I didn't even think about that, but the thing that really impressed upon me for going to Xavier was I had smaller classrooms, and I knew that would help me out because when I went in high school, I went to a bigger school, and they had like 30, 40 people in the classroom, and it was just a distraction. And so Xavier afforded me the opportunity to have more hands-on interaction with the instructors and hands-on learning with my craft. So I think that's what attracted me to Xavier.
Okay. Do you think, though, in terms of, so I'm going to ask like some HBCU type questions.
Right.
Do you feel that there's still a place for HBCUs today, that they're still relevant?
Oh yeah. I just posted a story today. Like at Salisbury State, they were posting racial epithets at the shut down campus today. You wouldn't get that at HBCU. No. It's home. It's family. You don't have to deal with that stuff. So. Even in today's environment, yes, you definitely need HBCUs because it's a place where you don't have to deal with that stuff. Even though in the real world, when you get out of college, you deal with it, but that shouldn't occur on the confines of a college campus. And being an HBCU, it's still relevant. You'll get nurturing you never would get probably at other institutions. So I'm a big proponent of HBCUs. I'm very happy to go to one. My nephew's going. Just found out he's going to go to the HBCU. He's going to go to Prairie View. So I'm happy with that. So I'm all about HBCUs, and I'm very proud to be an alum of one.
Excellent. What? Tell me about your current work. What are you currently doing?
So now I'm a editor of The Athletic, running the DC and Baltimore sports sites. We're a startup subscription-based website. This year will be 5 years old because it started in Chicago 5 years ago. So now we expanded out to 40-plus cities. We're also in Europe. I think we're in Europe. We're going to probably expand even more. So we have all verticals, and we cover every sport. So my charge is running the website for all DC and Baltimore sports.
Okay. And you were before here.
Before here, I was at NBA.com in Atlanta, so I was in charge of the night operation of NBA. Basically, my job was watching basketball games. I get paid to watch basketball games and let my staff take care of, how the story was going to play out on the website and stuff. And before that, I was a sports editor at the Florida Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale. I was there for 3 years. One of my biggest stories there was LeBron leaving Miami, so I had to deal with that. He won a championship when I was there too. And then before that, I was in Boston for 8 years at the Boston Globe. My biggest highlight there was covering the Olympics in 2008 in Beijing and the Celtics winning their first NBA title in 20 plus years. So that was all in 1 year in 2008. That was my baby. I had to deal with that. And then before that, the first time I left New Orleans my whole life was living here in D.C. area where I worked at the Washington Post. So it's all full circle because now I'm back in the place where I left New Orleans for the first time, which was the D.C. area. So I'm back here.
So that's pretty exciting covering the Olympics. Did you from terms of like the people you interviewed, is there any like standout or anything?
I mean, look, I cover like the different sports because I had a team of 8 reporters, so I was in charge of dealing with the reporters and letting them know what they needed to go do. I did like the odd stuff, like I covered boxing, I covered beach volleyball. It was raining. I never figured it was raining and it was playing beach volleyball in the rain. So I was out there in the rain covering beach volleyball. I watched Usain Bolt break the record. I was like literally like I'm sitting here and the finish line, he's like literally right here, like maybe like no more than 35 feet in front of me, and I could see a big blur at the finish line. So he was right there. I'm like, ooh, I was like, so I had a front row seat to seeing that big blur and Usain Bolt making his big splash, his first big Olympic splash in that Beijing Games. And so I had a lot of things there. I mean, I was there for 3 weeks, so just being in Beijing, learning different, it was a world experience. I mean, everyone from around the world was there. And my big experience was outside of the arena too, was looking at how the different countries celebrated. And I give big props to the Dutch because every country had like a party house, or a big area party. Well, the Dutch had a big party every night. And it's called the Heineken House. So of course Heineken's everywhere. And guess who's the host of that big party? Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle was up there on the stage doing his thing. And I'm like, I'm with all the Dutch people having Heinekens and watching Dave Chappelle have fun. So, just being around that great experience, just seeing how everyone reacted, how everyone had fun. I think I learned the Dutch knew how to party.
Okay, I wouldn't have expected you to say that Dave Chappelle was the host.
Yeah, he was the host. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what type of work do you do in terms of like community service or connecting with the youth now with where you are?
For the last 18 years, I've been a mentor, editor, program director. We call it the Sports Journalism Institute. It's a program that I was in when I was a sophomore in college at Xavier, and it's introduced me to a whole new world. It's basically an institute where we train minorities and women for careers in sports journalism. We select students from all around the country. This year's class, we're at 15 students, or 16, 15 or 16, so many. So we'll have them go to Arizona State University for 8 days, where I train them along with other professionals about business, things that you don't learn in the classroom. You get during this 9-day experience, where we take them to a basketball game, we take them to a baseball game to learn the nuances of sports journalism, how to cover a team, how to cover an event, and how to cover sports. And then after that, they go off to their paid internships around the country. So they got internships at places like at ESPN, Yahoo Sports, Kansas City Star, the Tennessean, USA Today. So they'll be all around the country getting the experience, paid internship experience, most importantly and getting their foot in the door. And hopefully that they take that ball and run with it like I did in 1994.
Oh, nice.
That's my main. And my other thing is I was former president of the National Association of Black Journalists, so I'm big in I was big in rebuilding the sports task force, where we advocate for jobs and career opportunities for our members in the sports community, for our Black journalists. I push for diversity and advocacy for all minorities in the journalism industry, because we are not representative in our newsrooms, and it's always a fight to make sure that everyone gets at least the opportunity to live out their career dreams, and to make sure the kids behind us have an opportunity to do things that I probably couldn't have done 25 years ago. And that's because of the people before me who laid the foundation for me to become a successful sports journalist, and I want to make sure that those kids behind me get that same opportunity.
And what is next for you in terms of your career? What do you
I have
think
no
is
idea
next
because
for you?
everyone asks me like, "So what's next for you, Greg?" And when people ask me that question, my goal was to become a sports editor, and I finally made my goal when I got to South Florida in 2012, and I was there for 3 years, and then things started happening in the industry. As you know, there's a lot of reductions and cutbacks, and we were not immune in South Florida, and a lot of things had to change, and it was time. It was time to go because there was about to be a change at the top, and when things like that happen, you never know what's going to happen. I was secure. I was secure. I could have stayed there longer and stuff, and lived on the beach, but I just didn't like the direction where the paper was going. So I decided to go to NBA.com. More stable environment. Turner Sports is a big thing in Atlanta, so it was cool. But then. And I thought I was gonna be there for a while. I worked nights, so my life was really terrible because I worked weekends and nights. So that was really not good for me and being a newlywed at that time. And then actually built a house, and then 6 months later, I got this job here in DC, and I get to work from home, which is the first time I ever done. So I work from home, and when I go out the house, I'll take my laptop with me just in case anything happens. But for the most part, I work at home, and I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and it's been a great experience. It's a startup, so we're dependent on people buying subscriptions for us to keep going. But who knows what's going to happen to me next? I always try to prepare for it, but I never know. And there's always opportunities that come about along the way, and it's like that all throughout my career. You just never know what opportunities will come to you, and I'll take them as they come, but I never know what I'm doing next. And then that's from the beginning when I left New Orleans for the first time after going to the Washington Post. I was like, I don't know where I'm going next. And I never thought I'd end up working at the Washington Post or living in Boston for 8 years. Never thought. And Boston's my favorite city.
Is it really?
Outside New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Outside New Orleans, Boston is my favorite city. I love Boston. And
Okay.
I never forget my cousin who I thought she was like Sister Soldier. Like when I decided to leave New Orleans to go to Boston, you going to Boston? Racist Boston? I said, didn't you live in New York for all these years? Can I leave home and go somewhere else and experience life? So, but I had a great time in Boston. I have a lot of great friends there, and I'll be in Boston actually twice in the next month. So,
Okay, just for fun.
yeah, for fun. And one of my
Okay.
boys is turning 50. So
Okay.
I'm going for fun. Yeah.
Well, what advice would you have for any current students, or I guess I would think of advice for prospective students who might be interested in mass communications and current students who might be at Xavier studying?
Well, if you, I've known young people. Actually, there's some Xavier students in recent years who come through my boot camp, and Xavier, everything's changed because when I was at Xavier, we didn't have any technology. We barely even had an email address at that time. But take advantage of everything that's there. Xavier is a family. Take advantage of the wealth of experience and knowledge that you have for your professors, but also get out of your Xavier comfort zone. Because I know when I was at Xavier, I was fortunate to get a job at the Times-Picayune while I was in school. So I was like, I could walk to the Times-Picayune from where Xavier South was, and go do my job at the Times-Picayune, get paid and do other things, and most importantly, get more of my experience. But when I got to Xavier, I just never forget all the people that were there, and everyone is supporting you. Everyone's going to have your best interest at heart. And you can't say that at a lot of bigger schools. And that's the biggest thing for me going to Xavier. That HBCU, they really look out for you. You're not a number. You are a name. You're a person. They care about your well-being, and they want to make sure that you be in the best position possible to succeed once you leave our campus. And I think I'm very happy, and some days I'm like, why did I go to Xavier? Xavier, Reynolds tried, they didn't try to cater to mass comm students, but I look back and look at it as a training ground for the adversities you have to go through as a journalist in terms of trying to get the stories. It's not going to be cooperative. It's not going to be easy. And I got my lesson from Dr. Francis and a lot of other people on campus, and had a lot of good relationships in covering the women's basketball team and the men's basketball team. I'll never forget those experiences when I traveled with the women. I'd rather travel with the women's team because they were actually better at that time, and they went to the national tournaments. So I remember those relationships, and I still have some of them on Facebook, and it's just just like a family, and I'll never forget that experience. And any student who goes to Xavier, you will feel the same thing as any other Xavierite who's gone there throughout its history, that it's a family, and those bonds will extend well beyond those years after you get your diploma.
Thank you very much, Greg.
No problem.